So I've received tons of emails and comments and questions from many of you who have been freaking out and really worried and concerned, understandably, about Suno and Udio. Udio is a new one that just sort of popped on my radar in the last couple of days. These are both generative AI models that you can basically just text in, prompt in anything, and it'll generate a full track with vocals. And the results are amazing and high quality. Now, I'm not going to play any of them on this video because you can go play around with them if you want to, and there's plenty of other videos where they do that. That's not interesting to me. Just take my word for it. These are essentially commercial quality, at least production music quality outputs that these models can do. However, as depressing and as scary as that might sound for our future, obviously as production music library creators, it's not as bleak as it seems. I think there's going to be a lot of problems with these business models, legal challenges that will likely, if I were a betting man, seriously inhibit them or maybe even just remove them from being businesses in the very near future. If I were presented with a company like this to potentially invest, I would run away as fast as possible. So I'll just tell you that, okay? And I'll tell you why in this video. And if any of the representatives or owners of Suno or Udio ever see this video, if you want to come on my channel and talk to me, you have an open invitation anytime. Just know that my first question will be, where did you get your data and how did you train your models? So if you don't want to answer that question, probably you don't want to. That's why I'm making this video. You probably won't come on my channel, but that's okay. I still feel that we need to just be aware of this kind of stuff. And I also, part of this video is just to keep you guys safe because what I'm finding already, because this is the Wild West, as you guys know, there's a lot of this, you know, in terms of the copyright around AI music. Can AI music be copyrighted? Can it be owned? All these kind of unknown questions are still sort of swirling out there. And so what we're going to see in the next couple of years is a lot of new businesses like these two, and not just to pick on these two, but many more, who are going to be jumping into this space, and they're kind of playing with fire. They're rolling the dice, and they're putting out a product and a service that they think will be legally legit, but I don't think we've figured that out yet, if it actually could be. And if I were a betting man, I would put my money on the opposite direction. So let me explain. These can put out amazingly high quality music, and I won't play them on this video. I just want to talk about more of the legal implications and where I think there's some hope for us, human creators. It won't take you more than literally a couple of prompts before you run into something that sounds like a very well-known artist, right? So I've played with both of these already. I've already heard Eminem clearly. I've heard Little John, I think clearly. I've heard Imagine Dragons clearly. I've heard Ed Sheeran clear. I have heard very, very well-known and established singers and vocalists and rappers and music with these AI generators. So of course, my natural question would be, how'd you do that? How is your algorithm this good that I can literally prompt in something and it sounds like literally an Eminem song or an Imagine Dragons song or a Blink-182 song? Like, how are you doing this so efficiently? And I'm going through and looking at these websites, can find out where they got their data. That's interesting. You know, I know that Stable Audio 2.0, which was another generative AI model, did disclose right on their front website recently, hey, we got this from Audio Sparks. We trained it off of 800,000 tracks. It was an opt-in situation. All the composers had the option to opt out of this if they didn't want their tracks trained on. That's it. That's pretty clear. That's pretty transparent. And that model, you know, it can do some interesting stuff, but it's not nearly as scary good as this one or Udio. So, little pattern I just noticed all of a sudden. The websites, generative AI models that are creating these ridiculously good outputs, and a lot of them sounding like very, very well-known popular artists, are also not disclosing where they're getting their data. So you put two and two together and you let me know what you think they're doing here. We don't know for sure, but to me, the writing's on the wall that they are gambling, that they're taking a chance with this. And they might be, I don't know for sure, but they might be training off of Spotify, right? They're just going through the unique links that every track has and just taking the 30-second snippet, whatever Spotify gives you, and training off of that and not paying anybody and not asking for permission. And then on the other end of it, giving these amazing outputs for all of us. That's why it's a little, I would say, dangerous for you guys to be not necessarily using this, but if you're going to be using this in terms of thinking you're going to turn it into commercial work, careful, right? That's what I'm just saying. Even though there's a nice, slick looking website, they've got a FAQ section, they've got a contact us, they've got all the legitimate, terms of service and end user license agreement. They got all the things that you should see on a legitimate website. All of this looks really great. Legally, though, we are on very shaky ground here with all of these services. So first of all, just be very mindful and careful. Because one of the things that I noticed on one of these websites, on Suno's website, I looked in their FAQs. That's where I was looking to find out, where'd you train your data? Couldn't find it, of course. But copyright, if you guys don't know right now, as far as the legal lawsuits and the cases that have gone before the government so far in terms of, hey, if a human being prompts in something and creates an image, let's say, can that image be copyrighted and owned by the person that prompted it in? And so far, the courts have said, no, that's not enough significant human creation to warrant a copyright. So you'd have to take maybe that AI image and then go alter it some more. Maybe you throw into Photoshop and you change it or whatever, significant, which is of course a subjective term, but you have to manipulate it somehow and put significant human effort into something creative in order to claim the copyright on it, okay? So we haven't for sure got a ruling on music yet. I think that's coming maybe this year or maybe next year. But again, if I were a betting man, I would say that the courts will follow in suit with that same sort of thinking of, if you just prompted it in and it's a full piece of music, no, sorry, you didn't do enough to warrant a copyright ownership claim on that piece of music, okay? So that's what I'm predicting for the future legally. But you got a company like Suno who's saying this: if you're using the free version of Suno, we retain ownership of the songs you generate, but you are allowed to use those songs for non-commercial purposes. So only if you are a paying subscriber, then you own the songs you generate while subscribed. Do you though? Do the courts agree with you, right? So, and I saw another company, I think it was called Soundful. They're, have another generative model where they're saying everything you create belongs to us. It's our AI model, right? But if you want to pay us $50, you can take ownership of the song. Do you though? Like, is it actually going to be your copyright if you pay them $50? So are they selling something that doesn't actually exist and can't legally exist? This is where we are in the Wild West. It's unproven. It's shaky. Okay, so just be careful when you guys are going to these websites and thinking you could potentially monetize or do anything with these tracks. We just don't know really what the future may bring. So that's definitely one of the things. But the other thing that's making me realize, I think it's really important for all of us, especially if you're a production music library owner watching this. I really want this message to hopefully strike a chord with you. These AI models and algorithms are impressive. They can do some amazing things, but you know what? What are they without high quality data? What could Udio or Suno do without high quality music that it's been trained off of? Nothing. What could ChatGPT do if it didn't have all of the world's text input from the internet that it trained on? Nothing. So literally AI algorithms are worthless without high quality data. In fact, the only value that an AI model really has is really a one-to-one correlation with the data that it was fed. So I don't think it makes sense for anybody ever to take, especially those of you that have a catalog of music or you represent a library or something like that, to ever take a one-time payment to allow any company to come in and train off of your music. I don't think we should ever be accepting that ever. One-time fees, I think, should just not even be an acceptable business model that we as content creators, as music owners, as library owners, representatives, even entertained. It's starting to dawn on me that if we ever do want to allow AI music to come in or models to come in and train on our catalogs and our music, we have to be revenue share model business partners with them, right? One-time fee, you're basically just agreeing to outsource yourself and outdate yourself. That's what you're doing, right? But if a company like Udio or Suno came in and you're like Universal Music, and you're like, okay, well, listen, we don't want you, we're obviously never going to let you just train off of our music for a one-time fee. But, if you basically cut us in as a revenue model share, then we could potentially grow a new source of revenue with you while we're also holding on to the value of our original catalog. So basically, it's an expansion of the income that, music rights holders and all content creator holders could have. Now, what's the percentage? I think at least 50%. Again, you might think that's crazy or greedy or unrealistic or no AI company would ever agree to it. Well, if you don't ask for it, of course they're not going to agree to it, right? But again, remember, think about a company like Suno or Udio or any, not just to pick on these, OpenAI. Think about any company that's releasing some ridiculously impressive AI model. How do you think they're doing that? Do you think the algorithm is that great? Like one algorithm is just so much better than the others that it can literally just point it at sheet music and it can pump out music that sounds just like modern pop artists and hip hop artists? Very unlikely. Okay. Just 99% no, probably not that. It's probably based 100% on the quality of the music, of the data. We are in a gold rush of data mining right now. And if we, music creators, library holders, have high quality data, right? Music that could be very useful and help to generate high quality output like these are, we should be valuing ourselves accordingly, which means that we are at least 50% as important to this equation as the AI algorithm is. So I'd say at least 50%, maybe even more. Maybe it's a 75-25 where it's like, cool technology, bro. You got nothing without my content though. You need us more than we need you. So that's just my thought on this kind of thing. So again, hopefully this gives you some hope that even though we will see really scary, really impressive AI models coming on the scene, going online, seemingly looking very legit very quickly, don't be surprised if, sometime in the future, this website is gone or they change names or they change business models or something drastically happens, because this is just sort of unknown territory. And, I'm not necessarily mad at these companies for trying something, but I also represent, myself as a content creator, as a music creator. And I think I try to represent you guys and the interests that you guys sort of have here collectively as our community. So that's what I'm really looking out for. So I will be definitely putting up fights and making videos like this and trying to push back on this any way I possibly can. And there's also some new legislation, which I'll share in my next video, that's also going to be hopeful, that's going to force companies like Udio and Suno to have to show their data, actually have to register it with the Library of Congress before they make their stuff publicly available. And this will apply to retroactive models like OpenAI, ChatGPT, anything that's already existing. So there's definitely some hope, and we are just at the beginning of this battle, trying to figure out how we're going to move forward with this. And again, this definitely probably sounds a lot more combative than I usually am about AI. I'm still very positive on the technology, but I also want to make sure that if we are going to move forward with it, it moves forward as a partnership and as an understanding that there's equal value being offered. And again, we will not be valued unless we speak up and demand our value. Just to be honest with you guys, if we just say whatever, they're just going to do it anything they want, they're just going to take anything, and we don't demand or ask or say no to certain business models, I know that the royalty-free companies, a lot of them already said yes to it, but let's just be honest, the royalty-free stock licensing sites aren't going to give you output like this. And that's why Stable Audio's AI model is okay, but it's nowhere close to this, because it's literally about the quality of the content that they had. So those might have said yes, but production music libraries are kind of the next step up in quality, in my opinion. And it's really up to us to kind of put up that front of saying, like, you want to work with us? Here are our terms. We know our value. We know what we can provide you. We know how much you would need us. And if you want to work together, then we're a revenue partner, and we're in this with you, and you're not going to be replacing us with your AI model. Okay. So anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. Was there something new you learned? Had you thought about these legal concerns? Or something maybe I missed that you've been noticing? Where to put that comment right down below.